Okay, let's return to the story that we've been tracking. We're going back to Washington, D.C., where in a short while from now, we're expecting that joint press conference between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and U.S. President Barack Obama. Let's bring you the pictures that we are getting in. These were the earlier pictures of the Prime Minister arriving at the White House for those ties. The meeting in the last months of the Obama presidency has seen to showcase how far the ties have come over the last 20 months. This is the 7th meeting between the two leaders. 3 have been held, of course, on the sidelines of multilateral summits, but 4 direct bilateral ties. Remember, President Obama had come calling in January 2015 as our Republic Day guest. Prime Minister Modi has been thrice to the United States and met the US President in recent years since he took over as Prime Minister in 2014. We are expecting a working lunch as well, but the two leaders will be addressing the media shortly on their ties. I want to go straight across to Gaurav Sawant, who's joining me back there from outside the White House. Gaurav, you've been tracking what's been happening inside. We were expecting the press conference any time now, but not surprisingly, the two leaders have overshot. They've been speaking to each other for what, almost 90 minutes plus now. So as you were saying earlier, a series of issues being discussed. This is not a unidimensional summit between the two leaders.
Not at all, Rajdeep. Not a unidimensional visit at all. In fact, after the one-on-one, the delegation level talks were also supposed to spill over into a working lunch. What we heard from the Indian camp late last night was that this is really going to be a very substantive meeting. The Prime Minister is also staying just across the road from the White House at the Blair House. And what we were told was the engagement is going to be on several issues, both structured and otherwise. So while the structured issue, Rajdeep, would talk about the nuclear energy, MTCR, energy, NSG, all of that, there's also very massive engagement, Rajdeep, on counter-terrorism, on cyber security, on India-US joint exercises and use of each other's military bases for the betterment of the world, as they're saying. So more than just refueling at each other's bases in an agreement. So a LIMOA agreement is also to be signed between the two. There's forward movement on the logistics treaty between India and the United States, and that would be when, after this working lunch, Ashton Carter comes to Blair House, the US Secretary of Defense, to call on the Prime Minister. And that is where the engagement on defense ties would be there. And then in the evening, Rajdeep, that big address to the US-India Business Council, because that is where we'll know how much US actually trusts what Prime Minister Narendra Modi and India have not only been saying, but also doing, because that is where investments are expected, Rajdeep.
You make a good point about that US business summit that the Prime Minister will address, because in his Wall Street Journal interview, Gaurav, one sense that the Prime Minister was also conveying his limitations, whether it was on land reforms. He said that he would only go so far and no further. On labor reforms, where he made it very clear that hire and fire was not something that was acceptable in the Indian context. And you got a sense that the Prime Minister was revealing some of the limitations when it came to doing business in India. Now, is that going to become in some way a bit of one of the downsides for the Americans who want to invest in India, but want to see labor reform, want to see land reform if they are to make those major investments? What kind of assurances can the Prime Minister give?
You know, assurances from the Prime Minister, and equally important, if not more, assurances from chief ministers, because investment will come to states, and the Americans are very clear. Whatever the Prime Minister will say, he will only be an enabler. It will be the chief ministers who are making that bigger pitch of investing in their respective states, because that is where investments will actually flow in. So states will have to make those reforms, and whatever states make those changes will probably see more American investment. Now, yesterday when I was speaking to the US-India Business Council, Rajdeep, they spoke of India being the preferred destination to invest in some fields. So they're looking at some quick returns. FDIs are coming in, FIIs are coming in, FDI investment up. India, attracting more foreign direct investment than even China at this stage. But will India attract investment in infrastructure that India is really looking into? And that is something where India will have to reassure them, as you rightly pointed out, in terms of labor reforms, transparency in terms of their laws, because nobody wants to get caught in long legal battles in India. So that bilateral investment treaty, clarity on investment and safety of investment is what the US business is looking at. IT is getting investment, auto companies are coming into India, but India is now looking for more funds. Japan has pledged more funds. Will US follow suit in infrastructure is the big challenge for the Prime Minister, Rajdeep.
Let me just ask you very quickly, I'm seeing those pictures that have been released of the two leaders warmly greeting each other. There seems to be this personal bonhomie. I mean, opposites seem to attract. I mean, there, really on the surface, very little in common between Barack Obama and Narendra Modi, but opposites clearly attract. Quickly, quick response, Gaurav.
Except the legacy issue, both very keen on a big legacy, both here against all odds, whether it's Barack Obama in the United States or Narendra Modi in India, and both want to make a mark. As far as Prime Minister Narendra Modi is concerned, Rajdeep, government sources telling us that India-US relations at this level is more about what India and US together can do to bring stability to the world, and not just India and US can take and give to each other. So whether it's IT, whether it's ensuring sea lanes of communication, freedom of navigation, all of that is on the card. So let's see what actually comes out in the next perhaps half an hour to an hour from now, Rajdeep.
Okay, Gaurav, you keep tracking that story, because as we said, where the meeting has overshot, we are expecting the two leaders to come out anytime and address the media. You're looking smart and spiffy is all I can say outside the White House. Clearly, America doing good for Gaurav there outside the White House. I'm going to leave you, though, with our image today. And it is our favorite political cartoon, So Sorry, the award-winning cartoon. It has two friends, two people, as I said, who are opposites, but who seem to have found some kind of yari. This even as these pictures are coming in on air of the two leaders ready to address that press conference. We'll have to wait for So Sorry, because I think in a moment from now we'll have the US President and Narendra Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, addressing the media. Let's try and catch in what they're trying to say.
And the incredible hospitality and warmth that was shown by the people of India during our visit.
आज भी गणतंत्र दिवस पर जो हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने की और जो हमने कुछ देखा, खूबसूरत यादें मेरे जहन में अभी तक मौजूद हैं। मैं बहुत ही आभारी हूँ।
As the world's two largest democracies and countries with strong bonds between our peoples, our businesses, scientific and educational communities, it's natural that the United States and India have deepened and broadened our partnership across a whole range of issues.
दो बड़े देश जो गणतंत्र हैं उनका आपस में इस तरह से मिलना और उनका आपस में बातचीत उठाना ये बहुत ही स्वाभाविक है।
In Paris,
हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने की और
India and the United States helped forge a historic agreement that can effectively reverse climate change. And we discussed how we can, as quickly as possible, bring the Paris Agreement into force, how we can make sure that the climate financing that's necessary for India to be able to embark on the bold vision for solar energy and clean energy that President Modi has laid out can be accomplished. And the agreements memorandum that we reached, I think, reflect the seriousness with which both of us take the climate change.
पेरिस समझौते में जो हमने ऐतिहासिक समझौते पर हस्ताक्षर किए हैं, उससे यही पता चलता है किस तरह से हम अपने जलवायु परिवर्तन और स्वच्छ ऊर्जा पर हम ध्यान दे रहे हैं।
As quickly as possible, bring the Paris Agreement into force.
how we can make sure that
In addition, the progress that we've made around civil nuclear energy, and I indicated our support for India becoming part of the nuclear suppliers group.
the agreements, memorandum that we reached, I think reflect the seriousness with which both of us take.
Discussed in that same context our important work together around non-proliferation of nuclear materials and technologies that could end up falling into the wrong hands. And I very much appreciated the Prime Minister's very effective interventions and participation in our nuclear security summit.
हमने इस बारे में बातचीत की कि किस तरह से हम नागरिक परमाणु वाणिज्य करार पर बात कर सकते हैं, काम कर सकते हैं और किस तरह से भारत इसमें विकासशील हो सकता है और इसे और अधिक संपन्नता दे सकता है। ये हमारे लिए बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण काम है और हम चाहते हैं कि परमाणु प्रसार विरोध का जिस तरह से प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हमें साथ दिया है इस पर हम और आगे काम कर सकें और दोनों देश मिल करके इसमें आगे बढ़ सकें।
Of course, the key priority for both of us is how to promote economic prosperity and opportunity and poverty alleviation for our people. And we continue to discuss a wide range of areas where we can cooperate more effectively in order to promote jobs, promote investment, promote trade, and promote greater opportunities for our people, particularly young people, in both of our countries.
हम दोनों देशों के लिए जो आर्थिक बढ़ोतरी है सबसे बड़ी वरीयता है। गरीबी उन्मूलन इसके बाद बहुत बड़ा हमारे लिए एक बहुत बड़ा मुद्दा है जिसमें हम दोनों काम करना चाहते हैं। इसके अलावा हमने बहुत से अन्य वृहद क्षेत्रों में बातचीत की है, किस तरह से और नौकरियां जुटाई जाएं और अधिक निवेश किया जाए और अधिक प्रसार किया जाए और व्यापार को अधिक बढ़ोतरी दी जाए। इस तरह के मुद्दों पर हमने बातचीत की है और युवा युवकों के लिए नए नौकरियों के लिए और अधिक अवसर जुटाए जाएं।
And we discussed both towards the end of our meeting as well as and intend to discuss during our lunch meeting important regional security issues because India and the United States have a shared vision of peace, of democracy, of countries resolving conflicts diplomatically rather than through war. And when we work together on the international stage, we can make significant progress not only on traditional security challenges, but also new security challenges like cybersecurity that are going to be increasingly important in the 21st century.
इसके अलावा हम लोग बातचीत कर रहे हैं क्षेत्रीय मुद्दों पर भी और किस तरह से हम दोनों देशों की एक ही साझी दृष्टिकोण है कि किस तरह से शांतिपूर्ण ढंग से हम जो भी हमारे सामने मुश्किलें आती हैं उनका समाधान कर सकें और उसे एक राजनीतिक स्तर पर उनको सुलझाया जा सके। हम दोनों देश इसमें इकट्ठे काम करना चाहते हैं, खास करके साइबर सिक्योरिटी के ऊपर भी और इन मुद्दों पर हम आगे काम करते रहेंगे।
So again, I want to thank my friend Prime Minister Modi for his leadership. I know that whenever he visits, it is a source of great pride and excitement, not only for the people of India, but the remarkable Indian American community here in the United States that are a symbol and a testament of the deep bonds of friendship and family that exist between our two countries.
मैं अपने मित्र प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी का बहुत अधिक धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं कि उन्होंने हमें इतना अच्छा एक नेतृत्व दिया है और इसमें एक नया उत्साह और एक बड़ी गौरव की बात है हम सबके लिए। और मैं चाहता हूं कि जब भी प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी यहां आते हैं अमेरिका में, न सिर्फ भारतीय मूल के लोगों के लिए बल्कि अमेरिका के लोगों के लिए भी एक बहुत बड़ा उत्साह यहाँ पर देखने को मिलता है और यह एक चिन्ह है हमारी गहरी दोस्ती का और हमारे दोनों देशों के बीच में बढ़ती हुई मैत्री का।
मैं राष्ट्रपति और मेरे परम मित्र ओबामा का बहुत बहुत आभारी हूँ कि फिर एक बार हमें आज मिलने का अवसर मिला है। मैं कांग्रेस का भी बहुत आभारी हूँ कि मुझे कांग्रेस को संबोधित करने के लिए निमंत्रित किया गया है। आज हमारी जो बातचीत हुई है कई विषयों पर हमने बातचीत की है, लेकिन डिप्लोमेटिक दृष्टि से उसकी जितनी ताकत है उतनी उसकी दोस्ताना स्वरूप में भी ताकत है। और मेरे खान मित्र ओबामा का बहुत बहुत आभारी हूँ कि मुझे एक बार हमें आज मिलने का अवसर मिला है। मैं कांग्रेस का भी बहुत आभारी हूँ कि मुझे कांग्रेस को संबोधित करने के लिए निमंत्रित किया गया है। आज हमारी जो बातचीत हुई है, कई विषयों पर हमने बातचीत की है। डिप्लोमेटिक दृष्टि से उसकी जितनी ताकत है उतनी उसकी दोस्ताना स्वरूप में भी ताकत है।
I too would like to thank my very close friend, President Obama, for this meeting today. We are meeting once again, and I'm also grateful to the Congress of the United States for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to address them tomorrow. We've had a discussion on a range of issues, and I think it's not just the diplomatic strength of these discussions, but also the friendliness, the strength that comes out of that is very important.
सामान्यतः अमेरिका और भारत के संबंधों की चर्चा होना बहुत स्वाभाविक है, लेकिन पिछले 2 साल में हमने देखा है कि भारत और अमेरिका, न सिर्फ अमेरिका और भारत के लिए लेकिन वैश्विक दृष्टि से भी कई विषयों पर कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर के काम किया है। चाहे न्यूक्लियर सिक्योरिटी का मामला हो, चाहे ग्लोबल वार्मिंग की चिंता हो, चाहे टेररिज्म की चिंता हो, चाहे पेरिस एग्रीमेंट में इनिशिएटिव लेने की बात हो, हमने कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर के काम किया है। और आज मैं गर्व से कह सकता हूँ कि हम 2 मित्र के रूप में भी और 2 देश के भी रूप में इस लीगेसी के लिए गर्व करते हैं और इस लीगेसी को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर के हम काम करते रहेंगे।
Of course, India and the United States have been working together, and we will continue to do so. But what we have seen over the last 2 years is that India and the United States have been cooperating on issues that are of global concern. And we've been working shoulder to shoulder to achieve results that are of benefit to the entire world, whether we're talking about nuclear security, global warming, the concerns of terrorism, the Paris Agreement, the initiative that was taken there. We have been working shoulder to shoulder, and I feel proud that we are not just 2 friends and 2 countries that are working together. We are proud of the leadership role that we have taken on, and we will continue to do so.
आज की हमारी बातचीत में हमारे आर्थिक संबंधों को और नई ऊंचाइयों पर ले जाना, टेक्नोलॉजिकल सपोर्ट करना, एनर्जी के सेक्टर में, क्लीन एनर्जी में फाइनेंस की बातों को और आगे बढ़ाना, साइबर सिक्योरिटी के लिए चिंता करना, इंटरनेट नेटवर्क में भारत भी इक्वली पार्टनर कैसे बने, उस दिशा में हमने कई विषयों पर बातचीत की है।
Today we've had a discussion, as I said, on a range of issues. We've spoken about taking our economic relationship to new heights. We've talked about technical support. We have spoken about the energy sector, about funding, financing for clean energy. We've spoken about cybersecurity and the fact that India also needs a role as far as the internet is concerned. So these are all a range of issues that we will have very good discussions on.
भारत एक युवा देश है, 800 मिलियन पॉपुलेशन बिलो 35 एज ग्रुप से है। भारत के टैलेंट का अमेरिका भली भांति परिचित है। हमारा यूथ पावर, हमारा टैलेंट पावर अमेरिका के साथ मिल करके हम इस शक्ति को मानव कल्याण के लिए कैसे काम कर सकते हैं, नए इनोवेशन के लिए कैसे काम कर सकते हैं और हम नई प्रगति की ऊंचाइयों को कैसे पार कर सकें, उस दिशा में भी हम साथ साथ चलने की दिशा में आज सोच रहे हैं।
India is a young country. We have a population of 800 million who are below 35 years of age, and in fact the United States is well aware of the talent that India has. We and the United States can work together to bring forward this talent and use it for the benefit of mankind, to use it for the benefit of innovations, and to use it to achieve new progress and touch new heights. We will continue to do so in future too.
भारत आज दुनिया की सबसे तेज गति से चलने वाली आर्थिक व्यवस्था के रूप में अपनी जगह बनाई है। भारत और अमेरिका दुनिया के सबसे बड़े डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री हैं। हम दोनों देश जितना मिलकर के काम कर पाएंगे, जितने अधिक दायरे में काम कर पाएंगे, नए नए क्षेत्रों में हम साथ मिलकर प्रवेश कर पाएंगे। विश्व के कल्याण के जो भी हमारे सपने हैं, डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज को मदद करने के जो हमारे सपने हैं, उन सब में हम काफी कुछ परिणाम दे सकते हैं।
India has made a name for itself as the fastest growing economy in the world. And India and the United States, also the world's biggest democracies. Both countries need to widen their cooperation, the scope of their cooperation, find new areas to cooperate in that would assist in finding solutions for the world, but also for the developing nations of the world.
हम सितंबर में फिर से G20 समिट में मिलेंगे। तब तक मैं मानता हूं कि कई विषयों पर हम आगे बढ़ेंगे। क्लाइमेट जस्टिस का जो हमारा सपना है, उसको पूरा करने में हम सफल होंगे।
We will meet again at the G20 summit, and by that time I expect that we would have moved forward on several issues. Climate justice is also an issue that we will be taking up.
MTCR हो, न्यूक्लियर सप्लायर ग्रुप हो, इन सब में हमारे मित्र ओबामा ने मुझे जो मदद की है, हमेशा हमारा समर्थन किया है, इसके लिए भी मैं हमेशा उनका आभारी रहूँगा।
We also have the NPCR, we have the Nuclear Suppliers Group, and the help and support that my friend President Obama has extended is something that I will always cherish and remember.
फिर एक बार बहुत बहुत आभार।
Once again, I'd like to thank you very much.
Mr. President, can you react? Thank you, Paul.
Sir, when will you endorse Secretary Clinton?
Thank you, Paul.
Sir, when will you endorse Secretary Clinton?
Thank you.
Why not?
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Everybody, we're heading out. Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
The statements they're given.
This is the India Today newsroom, and you're seeing these live images come in from Washington, D.C. This is the White House, where President Barack Obama just met with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And the big story, of course, this evening is that India will get entry into the Missile Control Technology Regime, the MTCR agreement, finally coming through. And that is very, very significant, because this is something India has been hankering for a very long time, but unable to get through. President Obama counting on his deep friendship with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to push this through. I'm joined now by Smita Sharma. She's been listening very, very carefully to this big interaction between Obama and Narendra Modi. Very significant. This also joining us live at this time from Washington, D.C. is Gaurav Sawant. Smita, the audio was a little muffled, so I want you to take our viewers through the big takeaways from this brief interaction.
I must say we were in fact slightly surprised, Rahul, because we were expecting this to be more formal, not the two leaders sitting there in Oval Office and Narendra Modi deciding to speak in Hindi there. Well, clearly Narendra Modi stressing on the fact, expressing gratitude that Barack Obama has supported India's bid as far as its entry into the nuclear groups, whether be it with the Nuclear Supplies Group or the Missile Technology Control Regime is concerned. Also the two leaders focusing a lot on climate justice. Remember, climate change and nuclear non-proliferation, these two have been almost pet projects of Barack Obama. So the two leaders expressing hope, because this is a season where Barack Obama is now almost a lame duck president, Rahul. So depending on who the new president is, whether it's Hillary Clinton, whether it's Donald Trump, both hoping that Climate Justice Pact, the Paris Climate Pact and nuclear non-proliferation continues even beyond.
Stay with me, Smita. He may be entering the lame duck part of his presidency, but make no mistake, he's still the most powerful man in the world. Gaurav Sawant, when the American president says he will help India get into all the nuclear groups, the MTCR, India can now help get through to also possibly the Nuclear Supplies Group. What happens to the veto that China has been wielding all this while? They've been preventing our entry, putting us at the same pedestal with Pakistan, saying if India goes through, Pakistan goes through as well. What happens to these complications? How will Obama see through these? Very complex diplomatic maneuvering on at this stage, Rahul. As we come to you from Washington, D.C., from outside the White House, one thing is very clear. India and America together are trying to isolate China because virtually everyone else appears to be coming around. Switzerland has come around supporting India for the nuclear suppliers group. The Prime Minister now flies to Mexico tomorrow, hoping to get Mexico on board. So then the message that goes out is, will China be the only country that wants to stop India's development, India's progress? And does China want to be the only country who wants to equate Pakistan and India, given Pakistan's obnoxious track record when it comes to nuclear proliferation and when it comes to India's outstanding record when it comes to nuclear non-proliferation? So there, it's China's image that will be at stake. Now, Secretary of State John Kerry is also working China to get China on board. And let me bring onto this conversation Sarah Watson, who's been studying this subject very closely at the Center for Strategic Studies and International Studies. Sarah, what do you make of US President Barack Obama saying he'd help India get on the nuclear high table?
I think it's a good statement. It's consistent with what he's been saying in the past. Unfortunately, it's not really under his control because the Nuclear Suppliers Group is a consensus organization, so everyone who is currently a member has to agree. However, I think the closer that U.S. and India come in terms of defense ties, the harder the U.S. is going to work to make sure that India can join.
And the U.S. did that in 2008, then President George Bush, he spoke to then President Hu Jintao, and that really turned tables in India's favor. Can that happen once again, and is that even required at this stage? Because virtually, okay, let's take it step by step. Rahul, let's for a moment talk about the MTCR, which is the big story today, which India today first broke. MTCR, as far as MTCR is concerned, Netherlands, that's the chair, they've been speaking to all the 34 members. Italy's removed its objections, so MTCR appears to be a done deal?
Yes, that does appear to be a done deal, and it's nice. It's a no objection period, so they had a chance until last night to say they objected. They didn't have to actually agree. No one objected, so India, by a process of elimination, is in. However, NSG is going to be a little bit more difficult because China is a member. China is not a member of the MTCR.
Sure. And what MTCR does at this stage is give India access to drones, to the Predator drones that India has been looking forward to, longer range missiles, missile technology, and that will play a very important role. That also sends out a very strong message to the world as far as India-US cooperation is concerned.
It shows that India is absolutely a responsible player. Of course, it does limit India's freedom of action a little bit. I mean, there's some discussion about sending missiles to Vietnam, which is interested in Indian military technology. What they'll be able to do is limited now that they're a member of MTCR.
Sure, but that is a BrahMos supersonic cruise missile, which is sub 300-kilometer range. So that, gives India the 298-kilometer leeway to move forward on that.
Yes, exactly. They have leeway, and there's a lot that they can provide and a lot they can do with Vietnam, despite being a member of MTCR. So I think it's absolutely a great step.
So that's forward movement, Rahul, on the missile technology control regime. As far as the nuclear suppliers group is concerned, US has been working the phone lines. S. Jaishankar, India's ambassador, India's foreign secretary, made it very clear, you expect friends.
No, just stay with me, Gaurav. I want to come back to you in a moment. Does the Ministry of External Affairs, Smita, have a plan? Because what you're doing essentially is trying to build a chorus of support, getting Mexico on board, getting America on board, getting Switzerland on board. But there is still the 1.2 billion gorilla, which is China. How do you deal with that? How do you get China on board?
You know, as Sarah Watson was pointing out, that at least for the MTCR, China wasn't really a hurdle. But in the nuclear suppliers group, in NSG, China continues to be the big hurdle. And Mexico, in fact, has been acting as a hurdle on behest of China there. So while Narendra Modi made a stopover in Switzerland, now what he plans to do is he will be departing after that address to the Joint Congress of the US tomorrow for Mexico, where he will be wanting to wooing the Mexicans on the nuclear suppliers group issue. It will be a lot of personal calls that will have to be generated from the Prime Minister's office to the Chinese president. It will have to be important calls being made from the Americans. They will have to turn the phone lines, really make the phone calls to the Chinese if we want that, because the initial meeting is there on the 9th of June, Seoul. That's the meeting on 26th of June when that crucial India's entry bid will be important.
No,
and,
but
countries are
do
able
we
to
know-
isolate China.
Do we know whether when the Prime Minister goes to Mexico, Mexico will come on board? This is essentially nuclear diplomacy at the highest level. The Prime Minister going to Switzerland, bringing them on board. The Prime Minister then going to America. America, of course, has been on board in principle earlier as well. Now, hopefully bringing Mexico on board. Is there an attempt also being made at this time to get China on board? Because that is crucial. You don't want all this diplomatic effort to be torpedoed by Beijing.
Spot on there, Rahul, and efforts are being made to bring Mexico on board. We are very hopeful of positive signals from Mexico. Phone lines are also being worked with China. Secretary of State John Kerry is in China. Of course, there are very major issues that US and China are discussing. But while they discuss those important issues, Sarah, will Secretary Kerry also discuss India's entry into NSG with China? What is the think tank community saying?
I think he probably will. I think we all hope that he will. I do think, however, that the announcement that's just coming out that the Westinghouse deal has not been finalized is a little bit of a setback for India. It's a disappointment because people were hoping they would sign a contract during this visit. To push that back to a year from today doesn't really mean very much. There's not any solidity to the promise that they'll sign in a year. I think the important thing with India and the NSG is to make sure that the U.S. government feels that India is giving something in return for U.S. lobbying to get India into the NSG. So you can't just say, okay, we're your partner, now keep working for us. India has to keep being seen to be working with the U.S.
Oh, absolutely. So it's India, the US working together, along with several other friends of India, several other powers that are working simultaneously. Rahul, there is a lot of give and take that is involved in this. What is it that India will have to give to get into the nuclear high table? That still remains to be seen. But you know, one thing, S. Jaishankar, the Foreign Secretary, made it very clear. He said that by 2030, 40% of India's energy needs will have to be non-fossil fuel. That's India's aim. And for that, India does require clean energy. India does require nuclear energy. And for Westinghouse or anyone else to invest in India, to invest so much in India, technology regimes have to be very clear, and that is why it's not just in India's interest but the world's interest that India gets on the nuclear high table, Rahul.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Gaurav Sawant for that very incisive analysis. Many thanks.
On September 28, 2 years ago, Modi and Obama met for the first time at the White House. The meeting proved to be the first among many. Cementing a tie that went beyond diplomatic protocol and bilateral ties, both heads of state went out of the way for the other. A famous friendship that broke the conventions of statecraft. Shortly after Modi took over, the bonhomie with the United States President resulted in an invite to the Republic Day parade. Obama's 3-day visit to India was rife with photo opportunities and the friendship with Modi blossomed. But their friendship didn't stop Obama from speaking out on the climate of intolerance in India.
A place where in past years religious faiths of all types have on occasion been targeted by other peoples of faith simply due to their heritage and their beliefs. Acts of intolerance that would have shocked Gandhiji, the person who helped to liberate that nation.
Over the next year, the two met in a whirlwind of locations, from Turkey to Paris. And New Delhi's bond with Washington had never been stronger. And today, Modi arrived in Washington for a record 7th meet with the US President. As Obama prepares to check out of the White House, the challenges for New Delhi will mount. Can Modi ensure in this visit that his equation with Obama will bring India to the diplomatic high table? Bureau Report. support India today.